This video is longer than others because we are going to cover a lot of things on this topic. An array is a collection of items where each item is assigned a unique index based on its position in the collection. There are different types of arrays, but we are going to talk about a few of them. Simple fixed-size arrays, strongly typed arrays, and array lists. The most recommended way to work with the array is to declare it first. We declare an array by typing the variable name, which can be anything. For example, I'm writing array1 and typing that it equals the array. This is a proper official way of writing an empty array. The default array is the simply fixed size array, and we'll start from it and, later on, speak of array. The first fundamental question is why it is called a fixed size array. The answer is that when you create this array, it has a fixed size for the number of items. The number of items is not changed, but you can recreate it with more or less of items. Let's see how it works and touch this aspect. We are declaring an array, one that contains 4 strings. The listing of items in the array is separated by commas or enters. Commas are more recommended. But in the case of many items, you can write them like this if you don't like how they fit on the screen. Readability is important. Now we have an array with 4 items, string 1, string 2, string 3, and string 4. As I mentioned, each item has its index in an array that allows us to retrieve specific items or items from an array. Any indexing starts from 0, like 0, 1, 2, and 3, and so on. To retrieve specific item or items by their index, we do it this way, by typing square brackets and specifying index or indexes between them. Let's see a few examples. Getting a single item. Getting a few items. Getting few items in different order. Let's enlarge our array to 8 items. Now, retrieve a few items. Now let's retrieve the last item. And now the last few items. The indexing allows us to reassign specific items to any other value. So the item in a specific index now equals something else. Now we want to add one more item to our array, and as I said, we are recreating an array. It's like saying this item now equals this array plus something else. Because you watched previous videos, you remember that PowerShell convert the next item into the same type of data type. So logically, it will convert the string into an array and then combine both arrays, making one single array from them. But if you do it the opposite way, you will run into an issue or an error because the interpreter will not know how to convert an array into a string and combine it with a string. In some cases, it can figure out how to convert them, but then you'll have a long string of all items, which is the opposite of what we need. So, to avoid this issue, you can write the first item as an array, and then the interpreter will combine both arrays into one new array. Let's see the case where we didn't think forward and forgot about this. Now, as you see, we have a single string instead of an array. Let's see the scenario when PowerShell didn't know how to combine them. You'll see an error like this. Just for you, it will be better to remember this common type of error because young coders very often meet this error, and it takes some time to figure out the root cause for it without knowing the fundamentals. Now, if we want to remove items from an array, this is actually the same scenario way of recreating an array without items we don't need. Very often, for this operation, we will need to know the total items of the array, which can be done simply with method count. Of course, the count gives us a number of items in the array and the index starts from 0, so we need to make -1 to correlate the number with the index. Just for example, we want to remove string 77 and string 55 from our array. With the first item in the array, everything is quite straightforward. Later, during the course, we'll learn operators and loops that will provide us with different ways and approaches for removing items from fixed arrays. For now, I'll show you two very useful. Operator for generating range, the double dot. You just need to specify the first number and last number of the array you need and place two dots between them. As you can see, we got an index array of items, excluding the first item under index 0. By this index, we can assign a new array without the first item. But what about the one in the middle of the array that we are not sure about its actual index? I'll show you an operator, not equals, which is written as -ne. We are using the operator not equals this way. We are saying give us everything that does not equal string 55. So we recreated a fixed array without those two strings. But in some cases, this is not very convenient, and for this reason, we have other types of arrays. Let's now see the not fixed size array and what it is suitable for. We declare an array list in that way. The non-fixed array allows us to add and remove items for it instead of recreating it every time. For this, we have a few nice methods called add, remove, and remove add. Add is a simple way of adding a new item. Remove it for removing an item. Remove allows us to remove the item at a specific index. Of course, we do not always know the index of the item, and we can use the index of method. This is the most common method that is required for work with non-fixed size arrays. And the last type of array that we are going to talk about today is a strongly typed array. The way of declaring those arrays is simply saying data type with square brackets in it. They are fixed size arrays, so you don't have methods of adding or removing items. This is a very useful type of array when you need to protect your array from getting different types of items in it. Yes, an array can have different types of items, which is something normal, but you'll not see this used very often.